The announcement of the male and female protagonists of Transformers has caused a lot of discussion among fans. Gal Gadot is okay. She belongs to the pre-booked. There are no auditions, and no competition. Although there are also fans who complain about why not Keira Knightley? Why not Angelina Jolie? Why not Jennifer Aniston? Why not Nicole Kidman? But after all, there was no audition, so the noise was relatively quiet. Eric was speechless after reading these remarks. Nicole Kidman is 35 years old. There is no denying her beauty. Eric also wants to have something to do with her, but it is not appropriate. Can you think about Nicole Kidman's Drag Race? It's pretty much the same in a carriage. And she's still box office poison. Gal Gadot is less stressed and Chris Evans is bigger. In terms of fame, he can only be regarded as the middle and lower class among the younger generation in Hollywood, although the guy is handsome, but there is no shortage of handsome people here. So there have been a lot of people attacking him in the past few days, drowning out his few fans. Agents and friends can only encourage him to ignore outside rhetoric, concentrate on preparing for the movie, and hire a nutritionist to lose muscle for himself. A few days later, other roles were also announced, with Ryan Reynolds leading the supporting actor, followed by young Jean-Aimé, French Shark, Tom Hardy, Ben Foster. Although the impact is not as good as that of the male and female protagonists, it still attracted the attention of many female fans and a small number of male fans, and this time it was well received by all the staff, and even the online on-demand with Band of Brothers also improved a small data. Until this time, Transformers was left with only important characters who had not been announced, the director. In the MGM building, everyone discussed the schedule of Transformers. Bordeaux put the table on the screen. This is a film that has been announced in the next 2 years, and the red mark is that the marketing department thinks it is more threatening after discussion, and my advice is to avoid it. Looking at the table in front of him, Eric tapped his index finger slowly on the table. How to choose the schedule is extremely important for a movie because the audience of different schedules is different and the number of movies is also very different. Just like there are summer files, National Day files, May Day files, and Spring Festival files in China, and the United States has clear schedules. And the two most popular schedules of the year are the summer and year-end holidays. Among them, the summer season is generally from May to September, spanning as long as 4 months, which is the favorite time period of commercial blockbusters, and the box office can account for about half of the year. Although the year-end file is not as long as the summer file, it includes important festivals such as Thanksgiving Day and Christmas, and it is close to the Oscars, so it is the choice of literary films and those highly anticipated blockbusters. Bordeaux continued, Transformers will definitely not be in time for next year's summer season, and the marketing department's recommendation is to set it for the summer of 2004. There are no big productions in June and July at the moment, so we can occupy them in advance, and that's the most appropriate time. Charlie Cooper looked at his son. Eric, what do you think? Eric frowned. It's too late. It's too late in 2004. It will affect MGM's overall strategy. We need time. And it's also a problem to recoup the funds. If it was released in June 2004, it won't be until September at the earliest. MGM can't afford to wait that long now, so our only option is the winter schedule. His family knows about his own affairs. MGM looks thriving, but that is for people who don't know the inside story. The Coopers are well aware that they still owe the bank $2 billion, and the annual interest is a large amount. In addition, there are new movies and new projects to invest in, and more importantly, it also involves Hasbro's side. In short, it can't be delayed. Eric, can you make it? No problem, I promise. Okay. How many months are you going to put it on? The Lord of the Rings 3. It's scheduled for December 17th, and we've already made an agreement with Peter Jackson, and we have to prerequisite. The Last Samurai is set for December 5th, The Matrix 3 is set for November 5th, Christmas Elf is set for November 7th, The Raging Sea, Polar Expedition is set for November 14th, and Kill Bill is set for November 27th. After thinking for a moment, Eric pointed to the screen. On November 16th, The Matrix 3 is the finale. The box office impact is very strong, and it will maintain a strong period of at least 2 weeks. It is best not to clash with it head-on. The Last Samurai was carefully prepared by Warner, and with the blessing of Tom Cruise, the box office appeal is just as strong. And I want to leave a 3-week sprint period for Transformers, so it's scheduled for November 16th. By the way, which company's movies are these in the same schedule? New Line, Miramax, and Universal. Bordeaux said immediately. Eric smiled self-deprecatingly. It was a pointless question, because no matter who it was, he didn't have a choice. Glancing at his father, Eric clapped. It's set for November 16th and announced to the public. When Transformers was announced, the happiest were the fans, who didn't expect to wait only a year to see the Autobots on the big screen, and several companies that were hit were in a hurry. Because MGM's behavior is somewhat of a violation of the rules. The schedule is so long, the cake is so big, and the potential of the market is also there, and one more person will be more competition. Generally speaking, large companies have a tacit understanding with each other, and they will discuss the schedule in advance, and everyone will try not to conflict with each other as much as possible. It's okay if it's really a conflict. Let me postpone it once this year, and I'll let you once in a good schedule next year, and it's rare to crush each other, so the end can only be a lose-lose situation. And now MGM doesn't say a word, just kill in. It doesn't matter if it's Little Karami. The problem is that it's Transformers. It's not appropriate to blow up fish, so how can other movies do it? And the one who was most affected was Miramax, because Brawl of the Seas, Polar Expedition, and Kill Bill were both his own. In the face of that group of iron bumps, I am afraid that Quentin Tarantino and Russell Crowe will not be able to do it. Cooper's house. Charlie Cooper was on the phone on the Leon stage, and as she spoke, her voice became louder, and after a while she returned to the living room with a cold face. Dad, which company is it? Miramax, Harvey Weinstein. Didn't you already reject him? Yes, but he brought in Disney as a lobbyist, and it was not a very pleasant conversation. Will there be a problem? Dad sneered. Normal business competition. We can't change gears. If they're afraid, they'll know how to do it. Tomorrow. The Sharknado is coming. The box office war begins. Readers, please read it. This is very important to me. On December 15th, there are only 10 days left before Christmas, and it is the time when the Christmas war is fierce. Even though it has been released for a month, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets is still in full play, and the daily box office is still rising by millions, which makes people have to marvel at the attractiveness of this IP. And in a few days, The Lord of the Rings Two Towers will be released, and by Christmas Day, December 25th, Spielberg's Cat and Mouse game will also be released. Under the backlash of these two monsters, other movies are bound to mourn, so unless forced to, no movie wants to be released during this time period. Just when movie fans throughout North America were looking forward to The Lord of the Rings, hundreds of theaters in Los Angeles, New York, Houston, and other big cities changed their billboards. A brand new poster appeared, showing a skyrocketing tornado sweeping through the city, and the puzzling thing is that several shark heads also emerged from the tornado, and Sharknado was released silently. For a film with an investment of only $1.5 million, it is impossible to promote it before its release, and the publicity fee is more than that. On an evening in Los Angeles, high school student White takes his two buddies to a movie theater near his home, where his sister works and can watch movies for free. Walked to the front desk and knocked on the window. "Carol, give me 3 tickets." A curly-haired girl came out from behind and complained with some dissatisfaction. "White, you came too often. I'll be found if I go on like this." "How is that possible? There are so many people coming in and out of the cinema every day. Don't worry, no one will find out, and it's just 3. No, there aren't many people to see these days. It's easy to be found. I don't want to lose my job because of a few tickets. If you want to see it, go to my mother and ask for money." White suddenly showed a bitter face and quietly pointed not far behind him. "Please, sister, you don't want me to lose face in front of my friends. I have boasted to them. It's a big deal to get the pocket money. I'll give it back to you. Hurry up, while there is no one now." Carol is still reluctant, but you've already seen the recent movies, so let's wait until The Lord of the Rings 3 is released. "No, don't bluff me. I saw the new poster, the movie called Sharknado. Hurry up, my dear sister." "Carol, what are you doing?" A loud shout rang out in the distance. "Nothing, mister from." "Okay, grab the ticket and get out. My boss is coming to check." "Wait, and popcorn and Coke." "Here you go, go, go." In the movie theater, there are only 8 or 9 people sporadically seated, and there is no fame and no promotion of movies that are not yet big-named. Only Ryan Reynolds is slightly famous among young people. This kind of configuration can attract 8 or 9 people, and it may only be 2 or 3 people in other schedules. "I had a hunch that it was going to be a disaster blockbuster," White said to his friends. As a shark logo flew by, the AK film and television logo appeared, and the film officially began. In the vast sea, a fishing boat is sailing. The captain is discussing the business of hunting sharks with his partner, and within a few minutes, the originally bright sky suddenly becomes cloudy, and a shark with an extremely plastic head jumps out of the sea, destroying the fishing boat. Just one beginning made the audience frown. "White, I have a bad feeling why this boat is so small, and why 2 people dare to go shark hunting and that shark is too rough." Immediately after the picture switched to the beach, the bikini beauties made the eyes of a group of young and strong guys shine again, and the director understands it very well. However, a Sharknado appears and begins to log in from the beach, and a shark pounces into the bar where the protagonist is hiding. Then I saw a blonde big wave pick up a billiard cue and kill the shark with one shot, and the terrifying arm strength made the audience stunned instantly. "What the hell? Did you see that? She actually killed the shark." "You're getting the point wrong. It's a shark flying." As the movie continues, the Sharknado grows in power and begins to hit the city, and the surprising 5-hair special effects continue to bombard the audience's brain nerves. The actor led people to start running away. The sea poured from the sky. The car was running on the highway, and at a glance it was still the same, but a lump of rubber strips suddenly appeared on the car window. The audience suddenly sounded a puzzled voice. "Automatic car wash? This is the rain effect." The seawater brought by the Sharknado gradually flooded the city, but in fact, even the wheels did not overflow, and even with such a shallow water level, there were still a large number of sharks swimming quickly in it to attack pedestrians, and the blood plasma was so fake that people couldn't bear to look at it directly. Gradually, even the sewers and drains were spraying sharks out. Yes, with spray, and even small sharks flowed out of the faucets. The movie is played to the end in this extremely outrageous plot and special effects. The movie finally comes to an end when Ryan Reynolds lifts up the chainsaw and jumps more than 10 meters high like a Cayman Superman to split the last shark in 2. What is an international bad movie? At this moment, the few viewers collectively leaned back, took a deep breath, frowned, and narrowed their eyes slightly, in order to relieve their devastated nerves. Moments later, gasps, breathing, exclamations, and yelling filled the screening hall. My eyes. My eyes. Why is this kind of movie on the big screen? Please tell me who the director is. I'm going to kill him. White, watching this movie, I feel like I've eaten Kandorian and herring, and there is a stinky sock next to it that hasn't been washed for 3 months. But White's eyes lit up as if he had found a treasure. I like it. What? Are you crazy? Of course not. I'm going to recommend this movie to Jennifer, to Ben, to Harvey's. I'm going to recommend it to everyone. I can't just be blind. The two friends made a lot of sense when they heard it. I'm going to post it on the forum so that everyone can enjoy this big bad movie together. On the first day of its release, the Sharknado only earned more than $1 million at the box office, and it didn't even touch the ass of Harry Potter. But at the same time, there was a lot of discussion about it on the internet. The big money Eric will definitely not spend, but the small money of hundreds of thousands does not matter, so Pemahati has hired a large number of water armies in advance. On the first day of the movie's release, I entered those forums with a relatively large daily active volume to post, and also swiped comments and recommendations on Yahoo, Movies, BOM, and IMDb. In this era, the use of online trolls for propaganda is still a rare way, and television, magazines, and newspapers are the mainstream. In the evening, Eric opened the largest local forum in Los Angeles, swiped at random, and found 3 pieces of content about Sharknado on one interface. The best movie of the year is Born, Sharknado. I've never seen a movie like this. It shocked me more than Harry Potter. Sharknado, a masterpiece that can go down in film history. Clicked on the content and scanned it. Eric couldn't tell whether it was praise or loss for a while, and could only sigh that the Navy Army in this era is also very credible, and he doesn't engage in copy and paste. At Cooper's house, Eric, Warren, Bordeaux, and Judy sat in front of a television showing images from the cinema. As for Billy, he hasn't come back from England yet, and Michael Dobbs, the author of House of Cards, is not just a writer. He is a politician, a conservative MP, and a special advisor to the government, and he is very busy every day. Billy had been dating for a long time, and the family had recently taken a vacation, so they agreed. On the TV screen, I saw groups of young people walking into the movie theater, buying tickets for the tornado, and waiting for the opening while talking. Listen to me, I was watching IMDb last night, and then there were suddenly a lot of comments under Jaws, all talking about this Sharknado, saying that it is a pioneering work comparable to Jaws. I must check it out. Comparable to Jaws? Are you kidding? It's a Spielberg movie. This director has never heard of it. Anthony Ferrante, do you know who he is? And this AK Films, are you sure it's not an arms dealer? Jeff, before you watch a movie, don't plant prejudice in your heart. That's not right. Spielberg didn't make. Jaws was also a newcomer before. Who knows if this Anthony Ferrante will be the next Spielberg? A young couple was eating ice cream, and the girl frowned and asked, "Charles, why are you watching this movie? Date Wars is obviously better." Boy shook his head. "Laura, it was Howard who recommended me. He watched it yesterday and said that this movie is a dick and we have to watch it. But I want to watch Dating Wars. Don't worry, when we finish watching Sharknado, we can continue to watch Date Wars. This night is still long." Judy asked, somewhat curiously, "Why are all the people buying tickets young? Aren't there any other age groups?" Because the publicity strategy used is mainly to post comments on the internet, young people still prefer to surf the internet. And young people like to be funny. I'm unlucky and can't let others be spared. How can office workers have this kind of idle work?
Bordeaux
Brought a plate of beer. Is this kind of propaganda strategy a fraud? Eric laughed. Things in movies, art, everyone's understanding and pursuit of art is different. How can it be considered a fraud? Have you seen any movie that is 100% positive? The Godfather? On TV, the next picture is that when the group of people walks out of the screening room, it is clear that they have been fooled and are furious. This is what you call a classic movie comparable to Jaws. Is your brain pumping? It's the worst movie I've ever seen. A young man yelled at a friend. The other party whispered, "It's rare to see a movie that's so bad. Isn't it a pioneering work?" You. Makes sense. Laura, don't do this. Don't put on a show like this. How about we go and see Date Wars? Don't you want to see it? Please don't go. Little girl on the picture sighed. Charles, forget it today. My head hurts. I feel like a shark is gnawing on it. As a result, a voiceover sounded next to it. Then you should stick a billiard cue into it. Ha 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 ha, the movie theater burst into laughter. Poor Charles. Warren, you hurt that lad. He doesn't want to be rewarded tonight. Warren smirked. Then, do you think he will be angry? And when he is angry, will he continue to recommend Sharknado to his friends? Bingo! That's the nature of people. He's going to do it. Eric snapped his fingers. The two clinked glasses and drank their beer. In this kind of situation where teenagers spontaneously spread in order to seek psychological balance, coupled with the promotion of online trolls. The box office of Sharknado came out the next day, tripling to more than $4 million, and it has paid back and achieved profitability. After getting this data, AK Film and Television cheered, and everyone knew that Sharknado was going to make a lot of money. On December 18th, The Lord of the Rings 2 Twin Towers was released, and the Battle of the Valley of the Holy Helmet began, with cavalry and orc armies from the Falling Khan fighting to the death on the screen. On December 19th, The Iron Horse from Middle-earth swept the entire North American film market, and all other films were affected without exception, and the slaughtered were not defeated. Sharknado was not spared, and the box office fell to more than $2 million on the third day, which is still because many people watched The Lord of the Rings 2 and chose to watch a Sharknado to slow down. This decline lasted for 3 days, until the end of the first weekend of The Lord of the Rings 2, when the monster's strongest phase was finally over. The opening weekend box office of The Lord of the Rings 2 was $62 million, which is still a long way from Spider-Man 1. In addition, the opening weekend box office of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets was $88 million, which also did not break the record of $113 million in Spider-Man 1. Until next year, Spider-Man 1 has completely secured the box office champion of the first weekend. And with the end of the strong period of The Lord of the Rings, coupled with the fact that Pemahati approved another $500,000 funds to hire a water army for publicity, Sharknado, which had originally declined in popularity, rose again. The box office returned to $3.5 million on the 6th day, $4.4 million on the 7th day, and the total box office in the first 7 days was $12.7 million, deducting the cost of production and publicity, and it has earned $4 million. Compared to the 435 movie theaters, the $12.7 million box office is really a bit unremarkable, and generally speaking, this kind of film will be scaled back in the second week and then roll out of the big screen after the second week. But Sharknado is an exception, because while the box office of all the films continues to decline, it continues to grow at the box office. This phenomenon rarely occurs, and what does usually represent a situation is that the quality of the movie is excellent, the word of mouth has exploded, and it has been spontaneously promoted by fans. You don't care if it's a good reputation or a bad reputation. I'll just ask you if you explode or not, right? So after the box office came out in the first week, especially after looking at the growth chart, Charlie Cooper waved his hand and expanded the screening theaters to second-tier cities, and the number of theaters showing Sharknado also increased to 970. The Christmas War, the fox that fishes in troubled waters, is about to start exerting its strength. Humble author prey online. Salt Lake City, in front of a movie theater, 7 or 8 junior high school students were chattering about something similar to them, and there were several groups of young people next to them. Hello kids, this is ABC Online, can I interview you? The group of teenagers looked over, and a little black man immediately asked, is it a live broadcast? No, it's a recording, but I don't have to cut out your footage. Oh. The young people jumped up and went on TV in an instant, and that was cool enough for them to blow in front of their friends and family for a while. It's already 9 o'clock in the evening. Why don't you go home yet? Xiao Haizi pointed to the movie theater behind him. Needless to say, We are about to watch a movie. Let me guess, it's The Lord of the Rings to the Two Towers, right? No, no, no. We've almost all seen The Lord of the Rings too. It's great, and the movie we're going to watch today is even better. It's Sharknado. As soon as Xiao Haizi's words fell, the surrounding friends jumped up and shouted, Sharknado! 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 And when they were shouting excitedly, several small groups next to them were also attracted to come, all of them teenagers, and they liked to join in the fun. And after seeing the little black group shouting Sharknado, these young people also swayed. Sharknado! 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 Such a strange scene stunned those office workers with their families and children, and they naturally planned to watch The Lord of the Rings. But at this moment, I suddenly became curious about Sharknado. A movie that can make a group of young people restless must have something extraordinary. Why don't you watch it? After dancing for a while, the ABC female reporter motioned for them to be quiet. What kind of movie is this? Why is it so fascinating? Little Black grinned. A disaster blockbuster. My brother told me it was awesome, and that's what the internet said. Little White Boy also shouted, That's right. My brother told me the same thing. He said that this is a classic comparable to Jaws. Another Little Yellow pushed his eyes. Although some people on the internet say that this is a big bad movie, more people say that it is an excellent masterpiece. If you don't watch it this time, you won't have a chance to see it in the cinema again in the future. The last little brown man pointed to the school emblem on his chest. I don't know what movie Sharknado is, but many friends around me have seen it, and if I don't watch it, they will ignore me, and I will come. Someone in the crowd suddenly shouted, It's time to enter. The young people suddenly dispersed, and the little black man shouted as he ran, Mom, eldest sister, second sister, third sister, little brother, I love you. The cameraman was a little moved. What a good boy who loves family, huh? Why didn't he mention his father? This strange spectacle is not only playing out in Salt Lake City, but also in New York, Atlanta, Seattle. First and second-tier cities, such as San Francisco, are also appearing, and many of them are also in the local news. When these news are reported, Sharknado is more or less mentioned, which is equivalent to free advertising, which makes the movie attract more attention. And those young people who have been tricked into the cinema will trick a new batch into it, and even many adults will walk in curiously. The situation intensified in this situation until the box office came out the following week. There is no doubt that The Lord of the Rings is still standing at the top, and generally speaking, the box office of the movie will be halved in the second week. But The Lord of the Rings is very special. He only fell by about 20% of the horror and closed $50 million in the second week. Harry Potter, Spider-Man, Minority Report, etc., none have such tenacity. But that's not the most surprising, because at the top of the box office list is Sharknado, which grossed $35.1 million, and young people have injected new impetus into the shark. In third place is Spielberg's Cat and Mouse Game. Even with the blessing of Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio, the box office only received $31 million in the first weekend, one tail behind Sharknado. At the premiere, Peter Jackson was invited to cheer Eric on Weta Digital's research on Transformers special effects. It can be said that it was an unexpected meeting, and Eric met the legendary director Steven Spielberg for the first time. The two chatted about their views on the film industry, the development of DreamWorks, and the future cooperation. And when the box office data of Cat and Mouse Game was slapped on the faces of major companies, fans, and film critics, many people were confused. Film and television companies were the first to move. Sharknado, what is this? Why did it beat Spielberg? Although it has the advantage in terms of the number of days, it is also outrageous. It is Spielberg. AK Films, who had never heard of this company, went to check its background, and it was not surprising that more than 400 movie theaters could be rolled out in the first week. But when these movie theaters are located in first-tier cities, it is strange. Sharknado, this baby came out of nowhere. Go investigate AK Films and see if you can buy the rights. Immediately afterwards, the film critics also moved, and they bought tickets to enter the theater to see what the sacredness was. Then more teenagers were admitted by Amway, and even many adults couldn't help but buy tickets. And when the film critics left, major newspapers began to publish reviews, all of which were bad, and there was not even a single praise. Kalyan newspaper Chicago. I've never seen such a bad movie. Who the hell combined sharks and tornadoes? I really want to pry open the screenwriter's head to see, but unfortunately I can't, because I can't find the editor's signature. It seems that he also knows what he is writing. Bad reviews. Los Angeles Entertainment News. When I saw the shark tornado on the poster, I already had a hunch, but I still didn't expect this movie to be so bad. I begged the director not to touch the camera in the future. This is the best explanation to the audience. Very bad reviews. Atlanta Entertainment News. This movie will waste the precious 90 minutes of your life. The shark will eat your head and turn you into an idiot who doesn't know how to think. Director Anthony Ferrante. You have tarnished the art of cinema. The ultimate bad review. Denver Morning News. This is a movie that will last a lifetime. Not because it's good, but because it's so bad. It's so bad. I have an impression of Ryan Reynolds, a young actor. What made you take over this movie? It's a disaster. It's a destruction of the human spirit. Super bad reviews. The bad reviews came so violently that it made AK Film and Television panic, and the network marketing set couldn't resist the impact of newspapers and television after all. And once the word of mouth collapsed, it couldn't deceive people. Eric, what should we do? What should we do? Do we need PR? Warren asked anxiously on the phone. Eric ate the cherries that Godot fed and said, "Don't worry, Warren. Have you forgotten our original intention? Sharknado is sold on rottenness, and when everyone says it's rotten, we succeed." The other end of the phone was stunned for a while. Well, you're right. I'm about to cheat myself. We're a big bad movie. Yes, so what are you worried about? Go relax and relax. As soon as you say it, I'm really not worried. So, do you want to continue to show additional screenings? Of course. It has now expanded to more than 1,900 cinemas in third and fourth-tier cities. But that's the end of it, and it can't continue to expand. Why? Warren, if it expands, it can only be to remote areas and small towns. Those places are close to information and are less affected by the media and internet public opinion. Sharknado has no market, and the box office potential of bad movies is not as good as high-quality movies after all, so take it when you see it. Sending Warren away, Eric began to initiate the final step, contacting the celebrities who had a good relationship to do publicity. If you say I'm rotten, then I'll admit that I'm rotten, but I'm rotten to make people laugh, rotten to the point of being fresh and refined. So rotten that it's the same as those classic movies. I'm sorry for myself if I don't watch a show. Rotten to the extreme is art. The media reviews came out. People finally realized how bad Sharknado really is. But just like Eric predicted, a movie that was so bad that it had never been seen before, and everyone's ugliness began to kick in, which stimulated many people to go to the cinema. Kid, which movie do you want? Sharknado, of course. Sharknado is a big bad movie, so hard that you don't watch TV? Yes, I know, but what does it matter? I just want to see how bad this movie is. In the midst of the reporter's messy wind, many viewers walked into the tornado screening room again. Later, many paparazzi followed and interviewed celebrities, and there was also an interesting scene. Peter Jackson, yes, The Lord of the Rings 2 did what I expected at the box office. Everyone was happy, and we believe it can go far. That's right, the filming of The Lord of the Rings 3 is also coming to an end, and when the vacation is over, the crew will return to work, Everyone is full of energy, and we will live up to the expectations of the fans. Of course, I watched this movie, and it had an unusual charm. It really sucked, but I had a lot of fun watching it, and I guess those young people thought the same way. Nicole Kidman was photographed walking out of the cinema, and she generously said, "I went to see Sharknado. Why do you put on such an expression?" Johnny Depp: "What's so strange? I've always liked to watch bad movies. People can't always watch good movies, and sometimes you need to change your leisure." Quentin Tarantino: "For Sharknado, I just want to say one word: awesome." The bad comments of the media have completely backfired, coupled with the publicity of celebrities from all walks of life. Whether intentional or unintentional, Sharknado continues to soar. In the third week, the box office still rose against the market, closing $45.5 million, and the top three in the market were still occupied by The Lord of the Rings, Cat and Mouse Game, and Sharknado. As for those new releases, they can only shiver under the storm, and even the opening weekend box office of Chicago has been compressed to a pitiful $9 million. You must know that although it is not a commercial blockbuster, Chicago also brings together Renee Zellweger, Catherine Zeta-Jones, and Richard Gere. The configuration of the actor and actress and the publicity horsepower is also very strong, but I didn't expect to end up like this. Miramax was already crying and fainting in the toilet, and it is said that the Weinstein brothers were so angry that they kept smashing things. However, as a literary film, it still has a chance. That is, the announcement of the Oscar selection list in January, which will play a great role in promoting the box office. In 3 weeks, Sharknado grossed $93.3 million at the box office in an unusual way, compared to the cost of up to $2.5 million. But at this point, the potential is almost exhausted, and it will be over for more than $10 million later, and then draw it. And although Sharkstorm is over, the box office war is still going on, and the successor, Chainsaw, is coming. Although Sharknado has become a hot spot for shocking people's attention, Eric did not receive much congratulations because few people now know that AK Film and Television belongs to him, and he is staying in the editing room at this time, cutting the film with Wenziren and Ravornal. Patrick Wilson, sure enough, is an actor who came out of the play. He is very good. Ravenel recalls the filming scene. "Eric, you are right. Wilson's acting is more natural, and he and one are unexpectedly in tune." Wenziren also smiled. "It's incredible, but it feels like Wilson and I are like old friends who have known each other for a long time. He can always understand what I want to express, Eric. Thank you very much for recommending Wilson. Maybe that's what fate is going to be. He's your royal actor." Eric said with a shrug. "I hope so, but after Saw came out, I didn't know what to do next, and I didn't know when I would be able to work together again." Saw 2. You can continue to direct. Ray continues to be a screenwriter. You partners, I am very relieved. Hearing this, Wenziren stopped what he was doing and said with a sad face, "Eric, in fact, I don't plan to direct Saw 2. "Why?" Wenziren scratched his head. "How to say it? It's my personal reason. I think I've already expressed everything I want to express, and if I continue to direct the second part, the effect may not be good." Looking at his somewhat difficult expression, Eric said, "The enthusiasm is fading. There is no novelty. Is that what it means?" Wenziren slapped his thigh. "Yes, that's what I want to say. Now that I've done what I want to do, it's time to move on. I like new things, new movies, new scripts. That will make me excited." Recalling the original time and space, Wenziren really did not direct 3 movies of the same series in a row, and at most 2 of them he would retreat into the background. Maybe this is his character. Eric laughed. "That's not difficult. Don't forget that there is MGM standing behind you. You can always find what you want in the script library. Or maybe I have a couple of great ideas here, and we can talk about it when Saw comes out. It's really not good. Just let Ray write a new book. You'll find new points of interest." Revenar said, Then you have to give me some time. I'm not a fast gunner. Me neither. Me neither. The investment in Saw Horror is $5 million, which is not spent in vain. Eric can clearly see that the graphics and props have all become more refined, and the atmosphere of horror and despair is stronger. And part of this money was used to invite soundtrack master John Williams, which made the quality of the movie a notch. As one of Hollywood's 3 major soundtrack masters, John Williams has many masterpieces and has been nominated for more than 50 Oscars, making him a well-deserved grandmaster. After spending a while in the editing room and giving some advice, Eric left, believing in Wonziren's abilities. With 13 days to go until the release of Chainsaw, MGM's promotional machine is also in motion. This time is different from Sharknado. The quality of Chainsaw is absolutely good. Even if it is placed in the big family of horror films, it can occupy a place. So in addition to online publicity, buying water armies, buying pages, and TV publicity is also indispensable, and the trailer began to spread on several big TV stations and the internet. There's no mutation, no goblins, no curses, no zombies, but there's a different kind of horror here. Traps, secret rooms, conspiracies, killings. This is where you will be shown the struggle of humanity. Do you want to understand the meaning of life? Do you want to be truly alive? Then come,